Today we're gonna be making a pencil cup. These are a really fun cup to do, but they do take a lot of patience. So just keep that in mind when you decide, or if you decide to make one of these. Keep in mind they're not for everyone. They do take some patience, but they are well worth it. They are really cool when they're done. We made these for all of the teachers for Christmas time, and they just loved them. Excuse my hand, I've been messing with the spray paint for another project, so I'm a little messy today. All right, so the first thing I do is I make some markings on my cup. Now, people use different things. Some people use Sharpies, things like that. I just use a pencil. I just use a little mechanical pencil here, and the reason that I use the pencil is because it's still very visible, but it blends well enough with the cup that you don't really run the risk of seeing anything under the glitter. So what I do is I just take the lid from a water bottle, and I'm going to set it down on the ground next to my cup. Hold on, I don't know if you can really see that very well. I'm going to set it on the ground next to my cup, and I'm going to lay my pencil right on it so that it's touching the cup, and then I'm just going to rotate my pencil around like such till I get all the way back to the beginning again. I'm going to stop, and now I've got a nice, I don't know if you can see that very well, but I've got a nice little line around the top rim of my cup. And that's going to be my pencil lead. People make these different ways. Some people prefer their lead on the bottom. That's fine if you choose to do it that way. This is just my preference. So for the next mark on this cup, I use a container of glitter. That just happens to be the measurement that I use. You can do whatever your preference is. It really just goes by how it looks to you. It's not an exact science here. So I'm using that thing of glitter, and I've got my cup flipped the other way so the open side is up now. I'm going to put my pencil on that, and again go around. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to go a little fast. Okay, so now, hopefully you can see that. I have two lines on my cup now, if you can see that. One here for the lead, and then this part here is going to be our line that we're going to use to measure out the wood part of the pencil. At the bottom, the line's already there. This is going to be our eraser down here. And I am going to have that metal part at the bottom, but we're going to measure that out a different way. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to get my tape. Okay, so what I use here is I use electrical tape. This just happens to be green electrical tape. It doesn't really matter. I use this, a lot of times I do use painter's tape for things, but for this cup in particular, I use the electrical tape. It makes a lot of difference. You really want a crisp line when you're doing this, and because of that, you really need this electrical tape. It seals a lot crisper than a painter's tape, in my opinion. So at the bottom, I'm going to use this line here, this line that's naturally in the cup, and I'm just going to put a strip of this on top of that line going around. Okay, let's use that as my guide. And this electrical tape is really pliable too, and it makes it incredibly easy to measure this around. Okay. Just gonna cut that. Okay, so you can see there I've got that. Okay, So the next part that I do is I actually take these zigzags here. Now these zigzags I just cut out on my Cricut. I used a color of vinyl that I don't particularly use a whole lot, that I happen to have on hand. I usually just, for things like this that I'm not actually using on the finished product of my cup, I will save some of those colors that come in like packs that I buy that just aren't as used as others. Or if I get a pack of something and it comes with low quality vinyl, I will save that and I'll use it for situations like this. So what I do is I take one of these zigzags off. Now I should say these zigzags were not incredibly easy to do. There is a template on your Cricut if you pay for that subscription to your Cricut. There is a zigzag template. However, I did have to fidget with the size a little bit to make it wrap around my cup properly. And I just played around with it until it worked. I'm one of those people that's kind of particular, and I really, really, really don't like when my zigzags aren't fairly even. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this bottom line and I am going to lay this on my cup, making the points touch the bottom of that bottom line. I hope that you can see that. Okay, and I'm going to do that all the way around. Each time I put one of these zigzags on, I overlap it just slightly. So I'm going to take this part and overlap it with this part and then continue on. It's not going to be perfect. I want to get it as close as possible. Like I said, this is not part of the finished product of my cup. It's just a tool to get us there. So if you end up with pieces like this that are a little bit bubbled, that's fine. That's not a big deal because we're going to be taking this off. This is just to get that precise zigzag. And now I'm going to overlap. Keep it going. And then I just have one more. This one only takes me 3.5 zigzags. So I've got plenty of zigzags left over for other cups, which is perfectly fine by me because this is a popular one. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to cut this one off. Okay. So, like I said, it's bubbled up in some spots. That's fine because I'm going to take this off in a minute. All I'm using this for is a guide to mark my zigzags. So I'm going to take this pencil and I'm just going to come in, and the top of these zigzags I'm just going to draw like such. All the way around. Okay. Okay, back to the beginning. So now that I've drawn that in, I'm actually going to take this off. And should come off fairly easily here. Like such. And there you go. And now you can see we've got that zigzag marking along the cup. Hopefully you can see that. It's kind of hard to get it on the camera, I think. There you go. All right, so let me get that out of here. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my electrical tape. And what I do is I first make one line around the bottom of this top part here. So this top line that I have, I do a line of this electrical tape right there along it. Okay. Okay. Scissors. Okay. And now I'm going to take little pieces of this vinyl and I'm going to take it and I'm going to place it right along each zigzag, going each direction. And you can do this either way. Sometimes I do the zigzags first and then I go around and do the strip. It really doesn't matter. You just have to remember when you're taking it off which way you went. What you don't want to do is let this green go anywhere into the top part. And you'll see why in a minute. So now I cut that bit off. Now I'm going to go in and make this zigzag. Okay. And I'm just going to do this all the way around my cup. If I cut a piece that's too big, I just kind of cut that one in half and use it on the next zigzag. Okay. So you're going to keep going around until this entire thing is filled. And then what you're going to do, once this entire thing is filled, all of your zigzags are filled, you're going to take this and you're going to spray paint it. Oh. Okay, so what I do next is I'm going to take this and I'm going to spray paint the areas, and of course this would be completely done all the way around. And then I take this and I'm going to spray paint these empty areas. So every area that's not covered in paint, I'm going to spray paint a certain color. You're going to spray paint the bottom part. I use this Rust-Oleum magenta. And then the middle part, I spray paint with the Rust-Oleum Marigold. And then the top part, I can't find my can of black right now, but it's just the Rust-Oleum black. Just the basic 2x primer black. And I do that up top. So once that's done, you're going to have a cup that looks like this. So one quick thing to tell you, when I actually spray paint this, there's a system to it. There is a specific way you have to spray paint this to get the best turnout. So what I do is you always want to do the black and the pink first and then the yellow, okay? Because if you get some yellow in the black, that's okay. If you get some yellow in the pink, that's okay. But if you get pink or black in the yellow, that's going to show up through your glitter. So what I do is first I do the black, and I do the black by holding this cup down like this and down at an angle, and I spray paint the bottom part black, and I just kind of rotate it and spray paint it. Then I put my hand, or sometimes I put it on like one of my, holders. I prefer my hand when I'm spray painting. I place it on my hand and then I angle it downward. Of course, that's why I'm all painty. I angle it downward and then I spray the bottom part. Don't forget the bottom, but I spray this eraser part pink. Then I go through and I'm as careful as possible. I mean, you don't want to really try to get yellow in these other colors. Look, I've gotten very little yellow outside of that middle part. And you spray paint this whole middle part yellow. Okay, so now this is dry. I've still got all of my tape on here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glitter this. Now, the glitter colors that I use for the first couple parts here, I'm going to use Bubblegum by Recollections for the eraser. I am going to use Sunflower by Recollections for the middle part. And And then for the lead, I actually make a mixture. I make a mixture. If you use just plain black glitter, chances are it's gonna sort of look like mud when it's done. For some reason, when you put that epoxy over it, it looks muddy. So I use the black, but I actually have a special container that was black that I have mixed just a little bit of bling into. Just a tiny bit goes a long way. And a little bit of this Silver Storm that I got at bulkglitters.com. I mixed just a little bit of that in there, shake it up, and then that creates, you can't really see a good, because some of it sticks to the side in there. It looks basically just like a black with little flecks of that silver in there. And that helps it to still, it's still going to look like black lead, but it's not going to get all tarry. So what I'm going to use to do this next part, I'm going to use some Mod Podge. Now, I do usually use the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. I don't know that it really makes a difference because it's on the very bottom layer basically, but I do usually use that, the dishwasher safe version. I ran out, so I am using my regular gloss Mod Podge. Again, I don't know that it makes a difference, but it is what I normally use. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put my hand in this. I'm gonna start off with the pink. I'm just gonna take one of these little sponge brushes. Sometimes I use a paintbrush, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that no matter what you're using, you really wanna make sure that you're getting a very smooth. You don't want a lot of these. You see how that's lining? You don't want a lot of that. So you want to make sure that you're getting this on smoothly. Which is why I do usually use a paintbrush. Brooklyn, can you grab me one of those paintbrushes?
Okay, well there's a lot of paintbrushes, so I'm not sure which.
Okay. Okay, so I switched brushes because I did not like that brush. It was not working for me. You want a nice smooth application. And normally sponge brushes will work decently, depending. That sponge brush was not working at all. You want, and what I do a lot of times is I just go for stuff like this. You don't need really nice brushes. I just go to like Walmart and get a big pack of cheap brushes, because you know you are painting with glue, so they don't last as long. Okay, so you can see it's very non-clumpy, and now I'm going to take this pink, I'm going to sprinkle on the bottom first. Sprinkle it really well on the bottom. And then get it on the sides, just like so. And you can see I've laid down a piece of paper too to catch all of the extra. And there we go. That part's done. Okay. Now I'm going to move that piece of paper aside. Bring in a new piece of paper, and I'm going to do my black. Okay, when I do my black, I kind of hold the middle because I have not done the middle yet. And again, this is very okay. So again, smooth it out. Make sure that you don't have any clumps. But at the same time, you don't want it to be so thin that it's drying by the time you get to the other side either. You don't want that for sure. Okay, now I'm going to take that mixture. I'm that I made, and this is where you'll see what it looks like. Okay. Okay, perfect. And you can see that, hopefully you can see that pretty well. It still looks very black, but it's got just the slightest bit of shimmer to it. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. I'm gonna move that out of the way. I'm gonna flick away any stray black glitter that's about to get in my middle. And now I'm gonna start painting the middle section. I usually do use a bigger brush, but I can't find my new pack of brushes that I just bought. So I'm just gonna have to go a little bit faster on this. Okay, so I've got this pretty much done. It's pretty smooth now. Not really any clumps. Now I'm going to use the yellow sunflower color. And I'm going to go in oh goodness. Somehow my yellow got a little contaminated with some black. But it's barely there.
I don't see any black specks.
Okay. Okay. And that is that step. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to set it aside. I hold it by the tape at this point. Hold it by the tape. I'm going to set it aside and let that dry for a minute. And I'm going to get all of this glitter up. Alright, so I'm going to scoop all of this glitter up. I've made a bit of a mess, as usual. Scoop it back into its container. That's why I always line my table with paper like this. And you'll notice that a lot of times my table does look a little used because I just keep reusing the paper over and over until it is to the point where I cannot use it anymore because I do not want to waste. Okay, so now I've let this dry for a little bit and I've put on just a quick coat of some glitter sealer. I don't want to seal it too much or it's gonna come off kind of weird when I start taking the tape off. So I'm gonna start in on my second coat. Second coat usually goes on pretty easily. And the good thing about the second coat is that it doesn't dry as fast. It does clump easier, so be very careful with it. See how flat I'm trying to get it. And this second coat especially, do your best not to get it on the taped part. You want that tape to come off smoothly. I just realized that I'm double dipping that in my... I should not be doing that. I never do that. I always pour the Mod Podge into a container as to not contaminate. And I almost forgot to do that. Well, I did forget to do that. Thankfully, this glitter is pretty on there and it doesn't even appear to be on my brush. Okay. Alright, so that is good. I've got it really good here. And now I'm going to put that second layer on. Okay, so there's the second layer. I'm going to do my yellow layer first because I don't want to get a bunch of black glitter and contaminate everything. So, go in here with my yellow first. Okay. All right, so this part's done. Oop, don't need to do that. So, you can see it's very thin, non-clumpy layer. And I'm going to put that second coat of sunflower on there. This really is such a cute cup. It was a very popular one at Christmas time. And I made one for all of my kids' teachers and they just absolutely adored them. I do, of course, sell all of my cups on Etsy. I always link my Etsy page down below, so if you are interested. I do also have a Facebook, in case you're interested in that. And I link that down below as well. There you go. And now we'll do the black. Okay, so this part's done now, and we will do our second layer of my little black concoction that I have. Okay, and we're good there. All right. Now is when we are going to start peeling off this tape. And I usually use my tweezers for this. All right, so I can't find my tweezers right now, so I'm just going to use one of these little weeders to help pull up the edges here. And I'm going to pull this up. I don't wait very long for this, because if you wait too long, it's going to be all weird when it comes up, and it's going to probably pull up some of your glitter. Okay. So now I'm just going to start peeling this off. The reason I usually use my tweezers, but it works nonetheless. I do apologize for all of the throat clearing, but I have been sick for about 2 weeks now, and it just does not seem to want to go away. Okay. This is pulling off beautifully. Probably shouldn't have said that. I'm probably going to jinx myself now. This is beautiful. And see, this is why I don't put a whole bunch of like glitter sealer and stuff on this now. Because if I did that, it would sort of cause my glitter to cake, and at that point once my glitter starts to cake, it would start to come off where it's not supposed to. Like when I was pulling this, it would pull pieces and different layers of my glitter off, and that does not look pretty, and that is not easy to fix. Sometimes it is easier to just start from scratch again. And now I'm going to pull apart the top one. On this one I did the top one first. Uh-oh, a little bit of that black paint. I'm going to have to clean that up a little bit. Of the black paint did bleed, but you should be fine. So this looks really good. I'm just going to go through a couple of spots where the black paint bled and scrape that off really quick. And then we're going to move on to the next part. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to get this area in here. This area in here is going to be my bling. Bling by Recollections. And I'm just really careful about it. Very, very careful. And kind of lay it in here. Now you want to be super careful that you don't get any of this outside the lines, because you don't want your bling to mix in with all of your other colors. Okay, so now I've got it very well spread out, and I'm gonna do my bling. Okay, and I'm just gonna lay that in there for the silver part of my pencil. Lay it in there as well as I can. And I try to lay it in there as well as I can without putting too much in the yellow or pink. And it's not a science. There you go. Okay. Now the next part I'm going to do is this pencil part. And like I said, I had gotten a little bit of paint in this part, and I'm going to show you how I fixed that. So when something like this happens and you take your tape off and you see that some of that paint has bled, all you got to do is take a little bit nail polish remover and go in and remove it. And it almost, you just use the tiniest bit. Be really careful, and it almost just kind of evaporates as you do it. Be super careful. And it's like evaporating. And that's good. I just got it in 2 spots, I think. And now we're good to go. And all I use this professional nail polish soak off. You can get it just about anywhere. Meijer, Walmart. I've seen it every place. So yeah, the Onyx Professional Nail Polish Soak Off. Okay. I use that to strip my cups too, which I can actually probably show you in another video. So now that that is cleared up, I'm going to take and I'm going to paint in this section ever so carefully so that I can now do the wood part of my pencil. And again, you want to be quick but careful. Again, you don't want to be clumpy. I'm sure that you're probably seeing by now why a lot of people don't like making these, because they are kind of tedious and time consuming. I don't mind it. I actually find these to be pretty fun, and I don't think it's that bad, but I can see where people have kind of a disdain for it. It definitely is kind of a labor of love here. Okay. Okay. All right. So now the color glitter that I use for this portion is gold by Recollections. Just gold. And again, I'm just very careful as I poured it directly on the black. That was cute. Whatever. The beauty of this is that it's handmade, and I always say that. There are going to be imperfections. No cup is going to be perfect. It's handmade. And that's the beauty of it. That's sort of the charm of it. Good. Okay. I do feel like I need a second coat of these 2 colors. So I'm going to do that next. And I don't think that I need to show you the second coat of those. So we'll just move on. Okay. This is my finished product. Double coats. I mean, it's not finished, of course, but it's finished with this step. I've got double coats of everything on there. And then I just went and sealed it outside with a glitter sealer. All right, so my next step is to just let this dry, and then we'll epoxy it with its first coat of epoxy. Okay, so this is my pencil cup after it has sat for a little while. After I did the coat of sealer on it. And now I am just going to epoxy it. Now the way that I do this, I don't want to get a lot of the black down here. Now I have sealed it, yes, but there is still the chance that black is going to get down into here. It's a lot easier to hide if the pink gets into the silver, because there is some pink iridescence in the silver, so that's not too bad. So I try to work my way this way. If yellow gets into the gold, it's not a huge issue. So I try to work my way this way. All right, so let's just start. I'm gonna start pouring a little bit, and we're gonna go. And I'm really gonna try and sort of stay out of the black at the beginning and just sort of work the rest of the cup and then kind of get into the black at the end. Because one random flake of black can really contaminate your whole thing, and you're going to get some flakes of black. I mean, it's kind of inevitable, but you want to try and get as few as possible. I'm going to put some on the end here. Get my bottom done nicely. And now I'm going to kind of do this along the top, making sure that I'm getting it over the edge too, especially with something like this when it's a Mod Podge glitter. You definitely want to seal that top edge. So I'm always really careful about trying to get that top edge sealed really well. Perfect. This is looking gorgeous. Get a little bit more down there. Now I made about 2 tablespoons each of this. I probably made a little bit more than I needed. Sometimes these glitter ones that we do with the Mod Podge, they suck up the epoxy a lot faster because you've got this thick coat of glitter that it kind of has to go through, unlike when you're doing an epoxy method and you're pouring it directly on the glitter. So I made just a tiny bit too much. You can see that it's on there pretty thick, but that's why I've got my tin pan underneath here to kind of catch some of that, and any of the excess will fall off as it's going, but that's looking really nice. And we're just gonna let this sit overnight. What I do is I will let this go for a little bit. Got to be very careful because I'm allergic. I'll let this go for a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is once it's set for maybe like an hour, then I usually put my heater on it at about 70 degrees. It is not a heater that gets incredibly hot to the touch. It's an infrared heater. I put it on at about 70 degrees and it helps to cure it a little bit faster. Like I said, do it after it's sat for about an hour or so. If you do it now, what's going to happen is it's going to heat up your epoxy so much it's almost going to be like how we do it with the swirl cups, and it's going to heat up your epoxy, and your epoxy is just going to fall and drip off of your cup, and you definitely don't want that. Excuse me. So give it, an hour to set up and then add that heat if you want to. It's not necessary. I did this for a long while without adding the heat, so that is entirely up to you. All right, I hope that you enjoyed part 1 of the pencil cup video. In the next part, I'm going to show you adding the decal and adding that last coat of epoxy to finish it. And cleaning up the inner edge of the cup as well. All right, please, if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe down in the description box. I am going to have links to my Facebook. Please go to that Facebook page and like it. Please go to my Etsy page and like it. I really, really appreciate all of the feedback that I've been getting from you guys. I've been getting so many private messages, as well as messages on my videos, asking when I'm going to have more videos, and I've been working on it, guys, but winter was really rough on us. I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, and with the holidays and the polar vortex, things have just been really crazy. So I'm finally getting back into the swing of things. I haven't stopped making cups. I've been making cups the entire time, but I've really only had time to make the cups that I'm selling, and not as much time to actually sit back and be able to create these videos and then do all of the editing and putting them together. So I really do appreciate your patience, and I am so sorry that it's been so long. Please, 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 just stick with me and enjoy my videos.